Oh, nice one. Well, let's kick off then. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another week here at RGM. We've got another week of stories and music ahead of us, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you along, viewers. Today, we've got an amazing guest for you too. We've got Jack Jones from Trampoline. Hey up, mate.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm
You look to
sound, thank
be
you.
smoking the nightmare. I just noticed you got Abbey Road cover on the back there.
Yes, it's a jigsaw.
Oh,
Lockdown.
is it?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. How long
I,
did it take to do that jigsaw?
well, I can't pretend I did much of it, mate, to be honest with you.
Oh, is it?
I get very frustrated with that kind of stuff. Even in lockdown, I didn't have enough time for that shit.
I just went and spent a few. We were playing a show in Wrexham not long ago.
Yeah.
Um, Rex Fest or something it was called. We gave it the slogan Wrecked Fest because everyone was so absolutely out their minds, just like you would expect. But anyway, the before that, I stayed up in Liverpool for a few days and did the whole Beatles experience
Oh,
thing. I
nice.
went to,
Nice.
I went to the Beatles story, went to the Beatles museum, went on the Magical Mystery tour.
Yes. John Lennon's house, that kind of stuff. I've done all that.
Yeah, yeah,
Did you
yeah.
do
It was quite
Burn Obvious?
surreal,
I've
actually.
done the cavern.
Yeah, I went to the cavern and they had like it was Beatles International Beatles Week. All right,
Okay.
so they had like a cover band from different parts of the world playing every hour.
Right.
And it's like 24/7. And
Yeah.
we walked in and it was the Brazilian Beatles were on,
Oh,
and
fun.
they were absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
The harmonies are all perfect. Yeah, it's mad the impact that band had, isn't it? It's just beyond belief, really.
I still kind of talk to this every now and again with people. It comes up with the Beatles, and sometimes with like old historic Manchester bands, people are still
Mm.
talking about these bands from 50, 60 years ago. And
Yeah.
Liverpool so heavily influenced by the Beatles and that kind of stuff. Do you think it's kind of can hold some bands down a little bit, having that history behind them that people still rant on about all the time? Like
That's a
Manchester Oasis, Sheffield, Pulp, uh,
yeah.
Liverpool, the Beatles,
Yeah, I
we hang
agree.
on to that stuff too long, do you think, sometimes?
I agree. I agree to some extent because it's like you know, it's like living in the shadow of, your father or so, someone, you know what I mean, or something
Yeah.
like that. But also like, Sheffield and Manchester, like Liverpool, those when you're a band from those areas, I feel like the heritage that you've had gives you so much precedent already. If you're thinking about me, I'm in a band from Swansea. It's like there's not as much history. There is some, like there's like a band called Badfinger. I don't know if you know them, but they wrote Can't Live, the hit that Mariah Carey had.
Oh,
Can live,
okay. Oh,
living in you. Oh, have you seen that thing where that woman on X Factor does it and she can't speak English and she goes like, I'm gonna do Ken Lee, and she goes Ken Lee, minji baji baji. Anyway, it's brilliant. So they wrote that, but so I agree that it's difficult to like break free, but I also think that it helps a lot of new bands too, because I think that
yeah.
if you can say you're a Manchester band or a Sheffield band, or you know if you're from Liverpool, it can give you a certain kudos already. Whereas I found with Trampoline and being from Swansea, there wasn't really many footsteps for us to follow. There was like we had to make our own footsteps uh into the world of
I just find it
songwriting.
I'll find it a little bit tragic sometimes when I see brand new bands doing You Look Good on the Dance Floor. I just
Oh
feel
my god, no, that's a different thing. That is tragic. That that
right.
that's like that to me. But to me, it's a pandemic. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like the other day we played a gig, right, and like the support band. I'm not joking. Didn't even like practice their instruments. They just were like filming the singer doing covers so they could put them on TikTok.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I was just like, what is going on? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like people like have to. They think the only way to make it these days is to cover songs and put it on YouTube, or put it wherever. But
I
it's
think
just a bit sad.
people seem to be, I agree with you. People seem to be hanging their hat on TikTok. And it seems to get really good engagement. So I see why people do it, but I think people are doing it because they think it's easier than the other ones to do. They think, oh, there's some fucking kid over there has got famous on TikTok somehow, but I think it's easier for my band because the engagement seems to be better. You know, you might get more likes and views or whatever that really means on TikTok than anywhere else. That's the easy way through it all.
Yeah.
It's a bit short-sighted for me, that, and a bit like they're trying to cut corners.
Yeah, well, I totally agree because like the thing is, nothing will beat, although it's the hardest thing, getting in a van and going touring. Like there's only I mean, I know people with TikTok, millions of followers on TikTok who can't sell a ticket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like
mean?
I think people can get discovered on there. And then if they get someone in the industry who kind of knows how it works, they can, you know, say, right, yeah, you've done well there, but this is probably what we need to do to kind of get you on get you known in the music world, if you know what I mean. I still think they're pretty different things. Like
what the people that you know with millions of followers and stuff, what do they do on it? Is it music?
Yeah, lots of it kind of always, you have to be so on top with the trends and the topics, what's going on. You have to be uploading 3 or 4 videos a week.
Yeah.
You know, kind of being quite open and, you know, making sure that you're covering the latest trending song, or you're writing a song about the latest thing that's going on about the news. Do you know what I mean? It's all very current and very of the time. You have to be, it's a full-time job, these things, you know. I mean, I've only touched upon them and realized I'm rubbish at them. Not that I'm rubbish at them, it's how do you want to live your life?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. And I haven't got the mental fortitude to literally to do it. I just think I just need to be outside, and I need to be writing songs, and I need to be, you know, with they're just different. I'm just maybe a bit, it's not not good for me, that kind of stuff. I just end up sick.
Is all the band that way, or is there any other members in there that might be more attuned to doing that kind of stuff?
No, I mean that's a thing where none of us are like that.
Yeah.
Really, it's a bit of a really. If you start a band these days, you need someone who's right on the ball. I mean, I do it and I try my best, but it's mainly just honest content about how I'm getting on with my day and with my life. You know, it's not like strategic, if you know what I mean. So it's like a different way of looking at it. But you know, if there's people who are in bands now, like 18, 19, say, and I imagine that it's a different game for them. But Wayne, he likes painting, and we work, so it's like fitting it in around everything else isn't viable, really.
Yeah, well, let's rewind a little bit. So talk us through, what was it like for you in Swansea growing up before you got this creative bug to go into the music industry? What was little Jack Jones like as a little...
I was a naughty bastard. I was.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolute. I don't know. I wasn't. I think I had like different. I didn't start playing guitar till I was 14 or 15. I played football for Swansea, and I thought I was going to be a footballer. But before that, I thought I was going to be a paleontologist because I was obsessed with dinosaurs. I think I had a lot of trouble in school. I don't really know why. I think I was dyslexic, which didn't help, or I am dyslexic, and I grew up. I was probably the last generation, like, where I grew up without a phone, really. Yeah. But I don't know. I struggled in school a lot. I got expelled from school for jumping on my art teacher's car, screaming that I wanted to be a woman in my boxers.
Okay, nice.
And my report said I was unteachable, but I didn't know if I was unteachable. I just liked that more of a, and then they blamed my mum a bit as well because I had a negotiatory style of parenting or something. I just like to be I like to know what I was doing and what use it was going to be in my life. But the
School doesn't suit everybody, does it? You know, everybody's different.
no, if I went now, I'd love it.
Yeah.
I think, I just went at the wrong time, and yeah, I didn't read a book till I was like 22. But I think
Were you diagnosed after school then? Were you diagnosed with
no, I was in school. I was took to like the Institute of Dyslexia,
hmm,
and I think they kind of thought that was the reason why I was struggling with reading and writing. But I didn't really. I lived in Australia for a bit. I had a
hmm.
bit of an unusual childhood in that way, I suppose. And then when my mum and dad went together at the time, but my one time at Christmas there was a kind of triangle shaped thing around the Christmas tree, and it said on it, I heard school isn't going so well. Maybe time for you to think of doing something else. And it was from my dad,
Hmm.
and I opened it. I thought it was like a giant penguin at first, but I opened it and it was a guitar.
Ah,
And I was like, "Oh, what's this about?" So I don't know if it was some sort of undying, uh, you know, dream to impress my father, or just a way of
hmm.
expressing my feelings. All those things. I don't know what it was, but as soon as I had it, one of my other friends learned guitar, and he was getting better than me, and I was just so deeply competitive. I couldn't have that, so I
Okay.
went. I went like hell for leather
Yeah.
on the guitar, and then that was it really. I got let go of Swansea, didn't get in the youth kind of team and all that.
What was
So
it
that
down
was
to?
really
What do you think the football thing was down to?
I think he just decided I wasn't good enough. I had one of those letters saying
Uh,
he's a great talent and all that, but it's that age before 15, 14 is when you're getting into professional contracts and all, and they didn't want to offer me. And I was offered a sports scholarship basically in a League of Wales football club called Fleshley Town,
mm,
and I took that. Or I took it the year before, basically before the scholarship. You had a year of playing for the team, and I took that, and that was where I met Wayne from Trampolene, Wayne the bass player, and then a few months later I met Kyle, Mr. Williams in college. So it was like, we just decided that we didn't know what we were going to do with our lives, but we knew it was going to be in this band and this kind of. Uh, we wanted to play music, and I said to the boys, I had no idea whether we were going to be a success or not. I just had to.
give it a go.
I knew that I'd give it all I had.
Yeah. Are you
And,
comfortable talking about the Australia thing?
yeah,
What's that?
that's fine.
What was the Australia thing you mentioned there?
So I think I was about 6 years old, and that was when my mum and dad split up.
Oh, okay.
And my mum has a brother who lives in Australia, and I don't think she really knew what to do.
Okay.
So we were like, so me and my sister, and she's like, right, we're going to Australia, and I think we were there for like, I always thought we were there for about 4 years or something, but um, she told me it was a bit less. That my childhood mind had run away with itself. But yeah, so we were living there, and sorry, that's our flatmate below started hoovering. But yeah, so I wasn't really going to school or anything. I was just playing around and
Okay.
feeling looked after by my uncle Joe, and yeah.
Can you remember Australia with it being that long ago? Can you remember?
Yeah, I remember it big time, man. I remember being like amazed by the animals because
Yeah.
I love animals, and I was just like seeing a real life crocodile. I was like, "What the hell is that? It's a dinosaur." That's like
They are
just blew
dinosaurs,
my
though,
mind.
aren't they? They are dinosaurs.
Yeah,
Like they're from that time still, aren't they? These
yeah,
mad things.
yeah, yeah. Like that blew my mind. Like the birds, mate. They're like even the birds. They're like gigantic. Everything's huge there. It's just like I used to go looking for frogs with my sister, and like we'd find these like gigantic green frogs. It was like, yeah, I remember it just And also, the level of football wasn't as high there. So when I
Oh,
started playing
okay.
football, I was like better than everyone else by a
Nice.
mile. So I felt really good about that for a while. But then again, it was so hot when we were playing. Sometimes I couldn't play because I felt like I was getting
Uh,
like blistered to hell.
nice.
But in fact, funny enough, like I remember sometimes I used to win man of the match playing football, and they used to give you this Red Lobster like a free meal thing.
Oh, there you
So if
go.
I'd had a good day, I got me and my mum and my sister a free meal at this like random lobster place. So I remember that actually,
That's nice.
and I remember having a hat like
Lobster hat.
like a full blown cowboy hat.
Okay.
I used to think I used to proper think I was like uh I don't know what I thought I was. Some sort of like I thought I was Steve Irwin. That's it.
Oh no, there we go. Yeah, nice one.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so your dad got you a guitar. The lads all met up,
yeah.
formed the band, and then you
Mm.
entered the music industry. So, as a songwriter yourself, I know you're a poet as well, and a novelist now that we'll come to as well.
I can't believe that.
How did you? We'll come to that in a bit. How did you like first realize that you are a songwriter and you've got these thoughts and these feelings inside you that can make songs?
I don't think I've ever realised I was that until you said, but uh, I don't know. I think I just had to do it for some reason. I don't know why. I just had to do it. It was like all that mattered to me. It was really all that mattered to me. It was the songs I wrote. And I wasn't really necessarily that bad about talking about how I felt either. So it wasn't like I was like a typical man who wouldn't like talk about his feelings.
Yeah.
I suppose I am in lots of ways, but if ever I felt like really bad about stuff, I'd talk to people, my mum or my sister. But I just, I don't know what it was. I just had to do it, and I've always had to do it. And I've got like a list of on my phone. It's like songs I have to record before I die,
Okay.
and I keep adding to it. So there's no way I'm gonna finish this list probably, but I think it helped me. In fact, I started being a lot more accepting of, I was in school and my behavior improved when I started writing songs.
Oh,
Um, maybe, maybe there's something about being heard or even just hearing yourself out loud, which is, I don't know, some sort of therapeutic
mm.
thing. I don't know, but I never I've never understood why I had to do it. I have had to do it.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
like the thought of not doing it, the thought of giving up, which is, I thought about that many times over the last 10 years, 15 years. I've always thought, whenever I've thought about giving up, the thing that kept me going is the fact I couldn't give up on the songs.
Mm.
Whether they made it or not, just into lots of people's lives, didn't really matter to me. It was just the fact that they existed was enough.
What do you mean by keep you going?
Well, thought fucking hell, I got no money. I'm absolutely broke. Nobody really seems interested in anything I do.
Yeah.
Um, it's like classic, why why do this thing that no one gives a fuck about apart
Yeah.
from you? Like
It,
like that is a clear moment where you got to look at yourself and realize why I'm bothering, I suppose.
yeah. And why did you keep bothering? Just the songs that you need these. You need to record these songs.
Yeah, songs is the only reason I do it.
Yeah.
The only reason I keep going anyway.
What
Because
was there a specific time that changed where you think it is worth doing it now? Is there a specific moment when you thought, yeah, I don't feel that way anymore? Or do you
there's
still feel like you're blagging it every day?
been there's a few. I get little moments. I call them little slices of joy.
Nice.
Like I always, when I was a lot younger, it was about being the biggest band in the world, having #1 albums, being a millionaire, you know, paying off my mum and dad's mortgage. But, you know, none of those things have happened to me. But what I have had is lots of other things that have brought a lot of joy to my existence. And, you know, when I'm in the bus with the band, and it's like, we're still friends. You know, we've been friends since we were 14, since we were in school. And, you know, that brings me a lot of joy. The fact that I can still play music with my friends. I'll get a little moment of joy then, or even if, you know, we go to a gig and someone, you know, could tell me a story about how the song or the poem has, you know, helped them through their life. That's a moment of joy. Say I get to a gig and there's like a rider there with, you know, the exact amount of blueberries. I'm like, that's a moment of joy. Or, you know, there's no traffic on the motorway on the M25. There's a moment of joy. I suppose little wins, you know, they're just as important.
Yeah, no, I can see that. So like I've been doing a little bit of research, and I can see you've been doing like, you know, as a poet and stuff. You do spoken word, and when I'm coming from Sheffield, I didn't see spoken word anywhere in Sheffield. But when I moved to Manchester, it was completely different. It's a completely vibe over here, and there's people like Leon the Pig Farmer, a friend of mine that is an amazing spoken word artist out here. That when I've been to his gigs and seen him perform, the power of that kind of stuff is quite palpable. You can feel it. What made you like? Have you always done that as well as the songwriting as well?
No, there was a guy from Manchester actually who made me do it. Guy called Sean Rivers. You know, he's in a band I think called Charlie and the Oscillators now, and yeah, we moved to Swansea, moved from Swansea to Hornsey in like North London, this flat. We must I can't even remember when we moved now, probably when we were 18 or somewhere thereabouts. And the idea was we'd have this kind of flat and it'd be like a creative hub. And it kind of like turned into like, I don't know, it was called like a Welsh refugee camp.
Okay.
But also it was just everyone turned up there. And the one guy who was managing a pub, I think, next door, or he'd met Wayne, I think, somehow. I'm not sure even how he met now, but he was from Manchester. He was a man glad, and he was doing the spoken word stuff, and I kind of showed him some of the things I'd done, and he kind of really pushed me on to kind of do it, and kind of bring it into the band, if that makes any sense. And then we got a manager who kind of made me do it as well. So I hadn't always done it, and I always thought it was a terrible idea. and I always thought it was never work in a band, and I really didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And it ended up being a thing that really defined the early part of my career, I suppose, early part of my life. So just goes to show you really can't know, can you? You know, and sometimes it's good to do things you really don't want to do.
Yeah, well, just looking at like some of the research I've had, Dr. John Cooper Clarke said you've got your exceptional poetry, funny and depressing at the same time. There's something beautiful about the depressing things sometimes, isn't there?
Yeah, that's very true. When I met him, I was really,
I
couldn't believe it actually. He's like, Sean got me into his music and his poems, and you know, there was a lot of him in what I was doing and a lot of Dylan Thomas. I thought of it as a kind of combination of them both. And yeah, the fact that he even knew one of my poems when I met him was a bit surreal to me, actually.
Yeah, we had him on the podcast, the first guest on this podcast, way back.
No way.
Yeah, just such a. I phoned him at home. Obviously, he don't have a mobile. He don't have.
Yeah, I know. It's super weird, isn't it?
Yeah, he don't have any kind of computer stuff. And just having a nosy about I don't know, something come up on YouTube earlier. He said if I had the internet, I'd never leave the fucking house, and I'd just it just he wouldn't have the time to fucking get out of the house. So that's why he don't have it, because he fucking wants to be out. Even at his age now, he still wants to be out and out, just living life, experiencing things instead of fucking about with algorithms and all that bollocks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I saw him live actually the other day. That's where I met him in Canterbury.
Oh, nice.
My mate lives there, so I went and stayed with him. But he was that poem about something about him being fat because he'd stopped taking drugs or something. I can't remember. It was just made me laugh my head off. He is an absolute one off, that guy.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Why
He's
do you
quite fragile as well when you meet him in person.
Okay.
You think, crikey, he might blow over in the wind like this lad. But he's all skin and bones, isn't he? But unbelievable writer, really, 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 truly exceptional.
Why do you think there is beauty in depressive things sometimes? Why do you think that is?
Because it's what we all know.
Yeah.
It's what we all see every day. And you've got to find beauty in the depressing things, because otherwise life is an absolute shitstorm of depression, mate, you know?
I don't know.
It's, yeah, like, yeah, I think so. I mean, unless without being able to look for those little things, it can be quite daunting, really, life. And
Yeah.
like going to the shop every day and buying milk, it's like it's got to be done, and it's I suppose it's a bit depressing, but the people you meet along the way, the kind of society around it, that can be uplifting.
Yeah, no, I like that. You mentioned you get these little flashes of light in your life. Do you mean like supporting Liam Gallagher, being on tour with Pete Doherty, all those type of things? It's I always say it on this podcast, it's not like you're working down the pit, is it, mate? Anyway, you do get to experience extraordinary things sometimes.
That is true. That's very sweet of you to put it that way. Yeah, those are big moments. I think those are like, surreal big moments. Like the Liam thing came through. It's a funny old long story. It came through Wayne, actually, who was working in a pub in North London, and it just so happened to be, I think it was one of Liam's favorite pubs, and it was before Liam's kind of big comeback, if you will. So they were mates, I think, hanging out, having a few drinks together. And so that relationship had been forged quite a long time in the making. And it was Debbie, Kate, Liam is, I don't know if they're married now, actually, they might be, but Debbie's, I don't know, wife, fiance, girlfriend, I'm not sure. She's got a twin sister who was doing a bit of a PR for the band Trampolene, and one day she sent a text through, how about supporting Liam on his tour? And I thought we all thought it was a joke at first.
Go on then.
We were like, all right, why not?
Yeah.
So yeah, that is a big moment, a surreal moment. We were first on, and
was that with Twisted Wheel as well?
No, I think it was after Twisted Wheel had done it before.
Okay.
Like, I think they had done. They supported Oasis, or was I wrong? Maybe
they have supported Oasis back in the years, but Johnny Brown, and he was just about to go on tour with Liam.
Was that in Europe?
That was a while ago. Yeah, around Europe.
Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah. So, but we were first on, and so we're there when everyone just about to start coming in, really. But before Liam was a band, was someone called Rat Boy. I don't know if you remember them.
I do remember them.
They were talk of the town for a while, but I don't know if they're even still going anymore. So they had the big main slot, and it is quite now looking back, the difference between a main support and a first on is quite huge. Yeah. Like the amount of people you play to is like, quintuple or something, But so we were there. I was still drinking at the time, which is I probably regret now because I keep thinking of all the little moments where I could have had a normal conversation with Liam, but I was just too off my cake to really even make any sense. I think I ended up stealing Rat Boy's bottle of Jägermeister one night, and I think like one somehow my sister ended up being like the family photographer, although she was a bit off her head as well. I don't know. There's so many random things happen. Yeah, and yeah, and so, but totally grateful to Liam because he picked Trampoline out of nowhere. Really, it was like a more out of trust from friendship, and we had met each other, and we all got along, and it was just clear that there was a kind of kindred spirit about the whole thing, And with Peter, that's a long old story. Peter's like, funny enough, just before you called, there's a film coming out about him directed by his now wife Katya, but I was looking at I did like a speech at his wedding, like a best man speech, and I couldn't best man's poem it was, and I was just thinking, crikey, it's been like 8 years or so that Peter's been in my life and I've been in his life, and we've been on this kind of journey together, and it's been quite a mad roller coaster at time. But if it wasn't for the poetry, the poems, and people making me do it, Peter would have probably never heard of. It was the poems that he got into first. Randomly, there was a poem I wrote called Poundland, and another one called Health and Wellbeing at Wood Green Job Centre. And one of the videos was made by my sister, actually, and then the other one was made by a guy called Roger Sargent, who was kind of a famous NME guy. He'd taken loads of photos of Oasis and Libertines, and he was getting into video making, and he made some videos for a few of my poems, and we put them on YouTube, and they only had like 180 views. So, not breaking the bank by any means, but I went to see the Libertines play them when they were kind of reforming. This is around 2015, 16 kind of time. And they were doing a special one-off show in the Dublin Castle. And I was sitting on the curb outside in our van, the band van we were using. And someone tapped me on the shoulder and he started narrating my poems to me. And lo and behold, it was Pete Doherty, and he said out of the 180 views on YouTube, he done like 176 of them.
Wow, nice.
So it was very sweet. He knew the poems better than me.
Yeah, no, I love what he does for grassroots music. I know his label have signed an artist that we've had on the podcast before, Andrew Cushing.
Yeah.
There's a young lass that I've known for years from Sheffield called Harriet Rose. She's supported him on his gigs and stuff like that. So he's very much giving back as much as he can to grassroots music and trying to support people, isn't it? It feels like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the reasons they started Strap Originals because they couldn't get me a record deal anywhere. So it was like, all right, let's start a record company. And it was like, and now it's this whole thing, it's like a whole.
Has it turned into a big manager now? Is that it? It's got a desk.
he's got the right people around him, I would say now for sure. He's got his best mate from school managing him, and him and Carl are really getting on, and so it's like he seems like he's in a good spot. There's always the demons and the ghosts that will keep calling, like they do with us all, but he's definitely in a good spot, and Katya and him, incredible couple, really. We've been through thick and thin.
Isn't it frustrating just how easy the music industry can like turn you back on so many talented people?
Yeah, fucking hell. I mean, the whole
just write them off just like that.
Yeah. Do you mean in the way that like what?
Just not being able to get a record deal, like someone like
right, yeah,
record deal for like just that as an example. It's just
that is a huge thing. That I mean, that's impossible to contemplate how difficult that is. I don't know how possible it is anymore, to be honest, without either getting lucky like I have or having a lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's possible because all these Facebook, Instagram, unless you got a lot of money to put into them, it's really hard to grow it organically. I don't think it works. I think the whole thing is why it's so impossible for working class musicians now. So difficult that it is a depressing thing. I mean, it's super super difficult.
Record
You
companies
got
just
to have a
how many
whole
followers you've
machine.
got.
How many followers have we got?
Oh no, record industry just wants to know about how many followers you've got.
Oh
Just
yeah,
in
yeah,
general,
yeah,
if you don't have
yeah,
X amount, then we're not even going to bother.
yeah. That's so.
Um,
It's the way it is now, man. It's like
People buy streams and fucking likes and stuff and pay money to these fucking charlatans that somehow sort that out. And it does,
yeah,
and it still doesn't mean anything, but it means something to a record company. They're short sighted, aren't they? They don't know. Just
yeah.
it's a disconnect with the major labels for me, and trying to find real music and getting confused by all this bollocks that's in between new artists. I think.
Well, it's so true, and I mean, like, especially when it comes to major labels with Spotify. I mean, they just own Spotify. I don't know how much of what happens on Spotify is real. I think you can like. There's no doubt that there's like, I know there's like the bot farm conspiracies and all that. I know they exist to a certain extent, but like, and it's it's funny. You can see like people with like huge numbers on Spotify that don't sell tickets. I think that what it comes down to is the tickets now. But I do think that before a record label's going to look at you, you have to be selling out, 200, 300, 400, 500. I know people who are selling out like, 1,000 capacity venues who are unsigned. So it's like,
Yeah,
it's just madness.
an
But
audience,
it's,
and it's just
yeah, it's so difficult to get to that stage though,
oh
It's
yeah,
super difficult. I mean, the if you can get like a really good manager, I suppose, and an agent, that's more important, I would say, than a record deal now, because like that puts you on the path. If you're playing the support shows and you got someone who can plan out, those 6 months blocks of your life,
yeah.
that's like I don't know, that can lead to the record deal, if you know what I mean. That can build up to the record deal. I think most managers now would probably start doing that first and then get you signed later on, because they know that it just doesn't happen anyway. And unless you're like a kind of, there's a band that my mate's band, my mate's with Felix from the Maccabees, and he's just got signed, but he's Felix from the Maccabees, and I mean, if you're your average Joe, it's so difficult, man. I really do feel for anyone that's like in that boat. The only thing you can say is the old classic boring cliche, which is just carry on and keep on cracking on somehow.
No, I like that. And is there any lessons that you've learned along the way that you think would be really valuable to young artists or anybody watching this in the creative industry that's thinking, oh, fucking, I'm going to stop soon. Should I?
I don't know. I think that it's impossible to not do the social media thing now. So I would, sorry, mate, about the Hoover, but I would say if with Trampoline, actually, we were very anti the internet at the beginning, so we didn't have anything online, or and I think that was probably a mistake looking back. There was like 3 or 4 years where we could have built up something. So if it's okay, if you don't mind living your life that way, I would say it's living life the best you can via social media is the best way to actually create that following and create a way into the industry. I wish I could say another way to you. I really wish I could. I wish we could all be like the Arctic Monkeys, you know. But you know, it's just now it's just so I just can't see another way. You have to like share your life journey, basically. Share your work, share your life journey on social media. You know, people come along for the ride.
I agree. I agree. Good work.
Through the ups and downs, you know,
Okay.
through the whole thing, basically.
Yeah, I think people uh, are being a bit obvious with it as well. I think to try and be as more creative as you can with it. People kind of they see what other bands do and just copy it, and it just don't feel
Yeah,
just don't feel natural, and it just feels like they're doing it just because other people do it. I think
yeah,
try and be as creative with it as possible, not copy what everyone else is doing.
yeah. Like that's the key thing, though. If you find a way to be authentic on it,
Yeah,
that's what will bring you the followers, and that's what will bring the people to you. Because it's hard to live an authentic life, man. I
yeah.
mean, we got like all these bills, we got all these different things. Well, uh, in a bit, yeah. I'll be out in. Yeah, sorry, mate.
Hello.
um, the yeah, kind of it's hard to be honest, you know.
Yeah,
Even sometimes there's a lot of shame in being honest, and you don't want to share it, but
it
I
connects
don't
with
know.
and on
Yeah,
the when you're honest. Yeah, I get it.
yeah.
Well,
That's the way I try to be anyway. God knows if it works or not.
so you're re-releasing the album Swansea to Hornsey again. Then the anniversary's coming up, so that's coming out again. Why re-release it, mate?
Well, there was like copies going for silly money on eBay,
Okay.
and everyone, all the fans were mentioning it, and also the first time it came out was a bit of a balls up, to be honest. There wasn't a barcode on it. I mean, no one really knew what we were. It was a disaster in lots of ways. So it felt like it felt like it had unfinished business. I think we wouldn't have really gone back like this, but unless there was that kind of reason for it. And also, you know, the band was in a bit of a tumultuous time back then. It was like Kyle literally I think, you know, the album came out and Kyle left the band just before the album came out. So it was like, and everything that came after that album, he never got to experience, and he's back in the band now. So it was almost like putting history right. A bit of that in it, and it's nice to, you know, celebrate the little joyous moments that there are. So it's like, it just
What
felt like my intuition told me it was the right thing to do, basically.
what did you do wrong then at the first time?
Well, the first time, uh, I think mistakenly, I'd let Kyle leave the band.
Yeah.
The record label we were with back then just had, um, for want of a better word, just didn't connect with us and how we wanted to put it out into the world. So it just kind of, it felt like it was just not given the moment it deserved.
Even getting signed in other label, it's still not the holy grail, is it?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, we had such bad problems, you know, going from our previous label to this label, legal problems, expensive legal problems. You know, if it wasn't for Peter, I, you know, all my back catalogue would be owned by someone else. So it's like, um, you know, proper nightmares. So there's all that kind of stuff going on. But
So what did Peter do? Did he just like show you the way? Did he just from his own experience? Did he get the right people and get you the
yeah, I mean,
match?
Peter and his manager Jai. So it's like, yeah, I mean, they obviously could see what was going on and just wanted to help me out. So there's a lot of financial things that I got helped out with, and you know, just a bit of I suppose industry help, really, because obviously I didn't really know what I was doing. I mean, the contract we signed originally, Wayne was off his head on LSD at the time. You know, we didn't have a clue what was going on, and you know, we little did we know we'd signed, like, you know, our first two albums away forever. So it was like, also as you know, getting that back and getting the chance to do this again was like us owning it for the first time as well.
And the book. Talk me through the book.
The book. Well, the book was supposed to come out with the album originally 6 years ago. So I had this dream of a. I was really into Julian Cope, which is where we got the name Trampoline from, and he was. I read his book. Well, I listened to his music and I thought it was all right, and then I read his book, and then when I listened to his music, it changed how I heard it, and I thought it was brilliant. So I wanted to give people that experience, but not 20 years apart.
Yeah.
So the idea was to have a book and a novel together, kind of an autobiographical novel about a boy growing up in Swansea who wanted to be in a band, that kind of thing. And but we just couldn't find anyone to publish it. I even had Caitlin. I was living with Pete Perfides and Caitlin Moran at the time, and she tried her best to get it published, and just kind of, I think the line from the publishers was, "No one wants to read about a book, a rock star that nobody's heard of." I think was the line, that kind of what people were saying. But you know, fast forwards 6 years, and the book, I've been kind of working on the book on and off. I actually, when I first started to get to know Pete, I read the book. Read the book to him as we traveled across Europe together with Puta Madres and writing songs and stuff like that. So he was pretty, like, he always said to me, "Come on, we'll publish it. And I was like, "What do you mean publish it? You know, how can you publish it? How can you publish it? You haven't got a publishing company." But then eventually he decided to start a kind of Strap Originals publishing arm, and asked if it would be the first book. So I imagine I'll do more. But
Oh, nice.
yeah, so very weird. And it just, so when Swansea to Hornsey's coming out now, it is the way I actually hoped it would have been all those years ago.
So 6 years has passed since you wrote the book then.
Yes.
Have you thought that have you ever look back and think, oh, I might change that a little bit? You know,
Oh
as you
yeah, I've changed.
older than that,
I have. Yeah.
right.
As time's gone, I've moved it with the times. I've edited it here and there, and yeah. So it's been.
Made it more real, or made it edit taken out all the flowery bits? What kind of edits have you made? You know.
Well, I had this line in my head when I was writing the book: the realer you make it, the longer it will last. So it's as real as it can be, and I made it more real and just got away. Kind of, it just cuts to the bone from the beginning to the end, I think.
Nice, mate. Well, I really appreciate your time. I know you've got a lot on today. Really
I
enjoyed.
haven't, mate. Well, but
Oh, yeah.
but you know, just randomly, my house flatmates decided to clean the house. I wish
Oh,
they decided to do that. Like,
it doesn't matter. You can't hear now.
he was shocked. I'm shocked. I'm amazed and shocked. But yeah, I'm shocked too, actually.
Well, within the description of this podcast, I'm going to put a link for people to treat themselves to the reissued album and the book, of course. And
Oh, mate, that'd be amazing. Thank you so much.
There's a ticket link for your Manchester, Cardiff, and London gigs as well. We'll put that in too. So if you like what you heard and you're new to Trampoline, what you're doing, click the buttons, get yourself involved. And
Brilliant.
yeah, mate, Jack, mate, really enjoyed getting to know you today, mate. And
Carl, it's been an absolute. Yeah, brilliant, Carl. I've loved it. Loads of love, mate. Absolutely living the dream. Can't believe it.